Hey guys, this is Accounting Nightmare, and welcome back to Let's Play Devil May Cry 4. It's been quite a while, but it's finally time for Mission 12.
Devil May Cry.
So, if you remember last time, poor Nero got absorbed into the Saviour. Now it's time for Dante to save the day.
Lend me your ears and fangs. Destroy this world so that the true utopia can be born! Judgment Day has arrived! To deliver us salvation, we must repent and rejoice, for the world has not yet come to an
That's a solid performance for an old fart like you.
So we get this cute little screen telling us how the character change is going to work. But we're going to be looking at that in more detail in just a moment anyway, so we don't really need this. So now we get to come to grips with the power of the legendary Devil Hunter. It's a lot harder than it sounds. But first let's check out the power up screen, because it's changed quite a bit. Well, the skill up part has, the item part is still the same. You see, it's all very neat. All of Nero's items just transfer straight over to Dante. So you see we've got 4 out of 6 blue orbs, 5 out of 7 purple orbs. We can buy a purple orb, so let's do that. Yeah, the amount of health that Nero had and the amount of devil trigger just transfers straight to Dante. Transfers over very neatly. The skill up screen, on the other hand, Nero and Dante have completely different skills, so all of our proud souls have been refunded. See, we have 117,000. Let's go on a spending spree. So under swords, we only have Rebellion, but we do get more later. And we've only got 3 upgrades to buy, and 2 of them are the same move, just different ranks. But don't worry, Dante has a lot of moves. They're just not all piled in the same place. Under guns, we have 2 sets of guns. Ebony and Ivory, which are the classic handguns. And Coyote A, which is the shotgun. This is the first time the shotgun has had a name in the series. And we didn't see him collect this one, so either he did it off screen or he actually brought one with him this time. Maybe he's learning. And styles. So this is a style system from Devil May Cry 3. These are the 4 styles that we started out with in number 3. The system works kind of differently this time though. In number 3 you had to pick a style at the start of a mission, and that was the only one you got to use, unless you got to a statue, at which point you could switch. In this game, however, you carry all your styles around with you and you can switch on the fly, which is pretty cool. So number 3 used an experience point system to level up your styles. You'd actually have the thing equipped and kill enemies with it, and then it would upgrade to different levels and unlock new abilities. Well, that's been dumped for this game because it wouldn't really make sense, seeing as you only play as Dante from mission 12 and you carry all your styles around at all times. So that's been replaced with this system, just buy the different levels using Proud Souls. Nice and simple. So in Devil Trigger, we only have Trigger Heart, which is the same as Nero's. It just reduces the rate at which our Devil Trigger disappears. And under abilities, these 4 are also carried over from Nero. We've got Speed, which is the little dash thing that kicks in after we've been running for a little bit. Get More Orbs, which just sucks in all the red orbs. That should just be that should just be default in the series, I think. Enemy Step, which is for jump cancelling. And Air Hike, which is a double jump. Previously, Dante's double jumps have been tied to different weapons, so only certain weapons could do an air hike. But now it's just an overall ability. Doesn't matter what weapons he's using, he can always double jump. We just bought everything. That's a bit weird. Well, don't worry, we get more weapons later, and then we can spend some Proud Souls on those. And here he is, the legendary Devil Hunter himself. But first, we're just going to tweak his controls a little bit. One really nice thing about this game is that it saves your control setup separately between Dante and Nero. That's really nice because I use default controls for Nero. But for Dante I put jump on the right trigger, just to make jump cancelling a bit easier. I don't jump cancel much as Nero, but for Dante I do it a bit more, so this is just to make it easier for me. So, we have Rebellion, our trusty sword. We have Ebony and Ivory, our handguns. And Code A, our shotgun. We can swap between them on the fly. It's very nice and tidy. Then we've got the style system. And we can switch styles on the fly too, using the D-pad, which I think is pretty ingenious. So we have Trickster, which is for dashes and teleports and stuff. This helps us get around and maneuver. It's pretty cool. We've got Swordmaster, which is for extra sword-based attacks. We've got Gunslinger, which is for extra gun-based attacks. And we've got Royal Guard, which is for blocks and stuff. And it's also good for cancelling attacks. So you do stuff like that. And of course he's got his Devil Trigger, which is kind of like Nero's, but it does have its own unique properties as well, which is a nice touch, I think. So Swordmaster and Gunslinger depends on what weapon you have equipped. And that decides what extra abilities you get. So Dante does have a gigantic move pool. It just depends on what weapons you're using, and what styles. And you have access to everything at the same time. So, do you recognise this room? This is where we fought Dante as Nero in Mission 10. And this corridor leads us on to where the Saviour was in Mission 11. But the Saviour's no longer there, and that's all been trashed. So where is there to go now? Backwards! Yeah, and this is the weakest part about the game. The fact that a lot of Dante's missions are just Nero's missions, but backwards. It is a real shame. Definitely the weakest part about the game. But Dante plays completely differently to Nero. And he does have pretty much the best cutscenes in the game, so it makes it up to me just a little bit. Not entirely, but a little bit. So this secret mission, we did this as Nero. This is free running, the one where we have to run across the platforms. You can do it as Dante, but Dante has a way of cheesing it and making it super easy. We don't have the ability to do that yet, but when we get the ability, I'll come back and show you because it's very handy. And there's our introduction to the Mega Scarecrow, which I think is pretty interesting. Well, partly because we've been firing them as Nero since Mission 2, of course. But the main thing I find weird about it is that this is your second fight as Dante on your first time through the game. So for your very second fight, you're put up against brand new enemies. Because of course you won't encounter them until right here. So that's pretty odd. I don't know why exactly they did that. It doesn't really make sense to me. They should let you just practice a bit more against scarecrows. I mean, you had one rune of scarecrows, but I don't think that was really very much, to be honest. So just like before, they have a ton of health. But if you can kill them before they devil trigger, then that's a hell of a lot better, of course. Once they devil trigger, they just become walls of HP. Not that they're particularly hard. So if you remember as Nero, we had to leave behind one of his artifacts here. It was the wing talisman. Yeah. That's the thing that lets you bounce off of the bouncy pads. That means Dante can collect it on his way through. Isn't that handy? Also as Nero, there was a blue orb fragment that we collected here. It's easy to get as Dante though. You can trickster up, or you can devil trigger and then you get a second double jump in the air. So a triple jump basically. That's pretty handy. That's definitely the easiest way of collecting that. And now everything is collapsing! We have 10 minutes to escape, and yeah, we have a timer. But that's actually really lenient, I find. I don't think I've ever run out of time in this mission. So you can pretty much just ignore the timer. And there was an elevator in this gap as Nero. We just ran straight through the elevator before. Now it's gone, but at least we can collect that gold orb. And this is my favourite way of activating switches as Dante. That move's called Prop Shredder, and it's a Sword Master ability. Well, there's the elevator. I'm not sure where that was hiding, but now at least we can have a nice relaxing journey upwards. Who am I kidding? Frosts. Had to be Frosts, didn't it? This is one of the tougher fights in this particular mission. Because Frosts are just assholes, no matter which character you are. And especially at this particular point in time, as Dante, we don't have the abilities we can use to really wreck them. See, that guy was healing, and there wasn't much I could do. There's a weapon we get later on that we can use to really punish them for healing, but we can't do that yet. But for now, the shotgun's a really good tool to use against. It's really good for stunning them, but it doesn't work all the time, as you just saw. So you can't really rely on it. But hit them enough with it and you will knock them over, especially if you hit them while they're in the air, about to shoot ice. It's pretty good for that particular purpose. But yeah, I like to just stay on the move a lot against Frosts. Yeah, when they're in the cocoon, I can pretty much just let them heal, or I can devil trigger and do a bunch of devil trigger stingers, but that costs a lot of trigger. When there's just one left though, I like to play around with some Royal Guard, because they always do that jumping attack. Here he goes. Boom! That feels good. That move's really easy to guard too. You just hop as he's landing and then you can guard it in the air. And you can do a release on him and make him feel pain. Alright, let's stop for a moment and look at the style system. So when you're switching styles, he does that cute little pose and he actually says the style name. I love these little poses, they're really cheesy in the best way. But if you switch styles while you're doing an attack, or while you're moving, he doesn't do the full animation. And he says a shortened version of the name, like he says Trick instead of Trickster. So that means you can switch styles whenever you want without having to sit through animations. So that's pretty cool. Alright, that frost battle, we can actually skip that. You can cross that gap. Let's have a look at that now. So this isn't too hard to do. You do need Devil Trigger for it though. So you remember before how we said that when you're Devil Triggered you get an extra double jump as Dante? Well, with Trickster you have an air dash called Sky Star. And if you're Devil Triggered, you get a second air dash. You can chain them all together. Like that. That's not too hard to do either. Definitely the easiest way of crossing that gap, because then you can just skip the frost completely. But there is another way of crossing that gap, one that doesn't cost Devil Trigger. So this one's a lot tougher to do. You have to line that up just right or you won't make it. If you line it up like just slightly off, then you're probably going to fall down the pit. And you have to fight frost, which is punishment enough, I think. But anyway, yeah, that crystal's back again. All the crystals are back again. Get to kill them all again. Get more red orbs. And back in the room with the ridiculous spinning blades. And just like as Nero, we have to fight some Mephistos in here. And just like before, we have to make sure we're not too close to the blades when we go in the air, or they will cut us and send us flying. So Dante's guns are really good at decloaking Mephistos. I used to mostly use gunslinger moves against them, but just the guns on their own are actually good enough. Okay, charged Ebony and Ivory shots are really good for it. But gunslinger moves are pretty fun to use. Get out the wall. Thank you. Yeah, fireworks can... If you do a fireworks right in the middle of them, then that'll just decloak them pretty much instantly. Fireworks is a shotgun gunslinger move. And then they're at your mercy. Yeah, Dante has completely different taunts from Nero. And that ridiculous machine is destroyed for some reason? Okay. But we just got the Key of Cronus, which is pretty good. Sadly, we don't get many opportunities to actually use it as Dante. Not like Nero does. He gets to play around with it quite a bit. I wish they'd added more opportunities for Dante to use it, but anyway. Now we get to climb up the blades without having to worry about them starting up again, because the machine's completely busted now. Back into the laser corridor. And the secret mission over here. I don't think you can actually do that as Dante. That's the one where you have to pick up the Scarecrow and take him away from the little Chimera Seeds. Yeah, Dante can't pick up enemies, so... Yeah, I like using Trickster for this little corridor. Especially then you can dash over a whole bunch of lasers. That's actually the only point you have to use the key as Dante, unfortunately. So onto this laser room. Oh, there's no lasers. But there are Angelos. Can you imagine if they had the lasers and the Angelos? This is already kind of a rough fight, I think. But with lasers it would be ridiculous, unless it hurt enemies. So we have 3 Bianco Angelos to start off with more spawning in later as we kill them. And this is the hardest fighting mission you have to do. If you watch no damage runs of this mission, like pretty much everyone skips the frosts because screw frosts. So that means this is the only really tough fight in the mission. And enemies are quite aggressive at this point in time. they don't actually scale the difficulty down to account for the fact that you just changed characters, especially on Dante Must Die mode. Like, they might have scaled it down on normal difficulty, I don't really remember, but for Dante Must Die mode, they do not take it easy on you. We're really thrown in the deep end here. And he's suiciding his buddies at me. I love that. I don't know what makes him do that, but it's so hilarious. And now he's on his own. Fighting these guys as Dante is pretty interesting. Yeah, when he's getting ready to do that slashing attack, that charging pose, you can go in there with a million stab and that'll interrupt him. And that combo is called Dance Macabre, and it seems to be really good against him. Towards the end he will start blocking it, but it'll destroy his shield. And then you can just go to town. If you're really good with jump cancelling, once you take out his shield you can just jump cancel him to the death. So that's a fun way of taking them out, I find. And just like as Nero, we get to grab all these red orbs. And they're all in the same spots as they were as Nero. You got the vases here, you got the chairs down there. Over here you got the hidden red orbs. But Dante does not have a glowy arm, so he can't find secrets like Nero could. You just have to remember where they were. That wasn't much of an explosion. I don't know, I think we could have survived that. So it's very easy to accidentally run past this stuff at the end in your haste to finish the mission. And I like using Gunslinger to take out this stuff. Yeah, that moves fireworks. It's a shotgun. It's really good for destroying objects. So we run past the spot where we fought Credo as Nero. And just keep running. And they make us run the whole distance of this thing for some reason. They should have just moved the cutscene earlier. Oh well.
You order the sword, huh?
Yes. Are you familiar with them?
Sorry, religion and I don't mix.
It's a small congregation that gathers in the castle town of Fortuna. I guess the only people who would have heard of it are the ones who take interest in this type of thing.
Like you.
Exactly. So just how much do you know about Sparta?
Well, from what I can figure, there's a lot of confusion surrounding them.
The story goes that Sparta served as the feudal lord of the city long ago. The people who live there today take these legends as truth and worship him. Just like a god.
They worship a demon as a god?
Peaceful worship can't be condemned. But the real problem is the Order. Lately they've been running amok, catching demons, and have even butted in on some of my jobs.
Maybe they're starting a zoo.
Not just demons. They've also been targeting devil arms, like the ones you have.
Okay then, a museum. So what?
Well, what if their intentions are foul? And there's a diabolical plan behind these apparently random acts?
Well then, I'd have something to keep me occupied, and... Trish! Things always gotta be complicated.
I really like that cutscene. It shows us what Dante and his gang have been up to and why they've gotten involved in this whole mess. It's just really fun. Also, if you remember from the end of Devil May Cry 1, they changed the shop name to Devil Never Cry. But that seems to have been retconned, because now it's Devil May Cry again. Which is fine, because I think Devil May Cry is a better name, it rolls off the tongue easier. So now we're into Dante's part of the game. And this part has a lot of reused content, unfortunately. But Dante does get really cool new weapons, and he's got the best cutscenes in the game. And possibly the series. They're really cool, I can't wait for them. But yes, as Nero, you might remember there was a Dante combat adjudicator in a spot that which we didn't actually pass through in this mission. But it's because it was in an out of the way area. I wasn't sure if I would make the clear time for an S rank. So let's go do that. Let's go grab that adjudicator. Yeah! I was hoping I'd show that off at some point. Yes, as Nero, when they do that big sphere, you can reflect it back with the charge gun shot. But as Dante, I tend to use a sword master ability called Prop Shredder. Yes, so this is a separate run through of the mission. If you go through that side door and you pass through this area, this is where the adjudicator is. You can pass through this room, and this is a completely optional fight. But I like to do it because we get to play around with slow motion. Yes, this is the only spot which Dante gets to use slow motion in an actual fight. And it's completely optional, so why wouldn't you do it? Slow motion. It's always fun. It's a real shame that the Quicksilver ability from DMC3, it is not in this game, sadly. I was hoping maybe they'd do some DLC or something, but no, there was none. Not even costumes or anything. This fight I actually find it really quite hectic, because you've got Angelos everywhere and you've got Gladiuses, and they're all enemies that tend to do charge up attacks. Like they stand there for a little while, they charge up in a dash sort of thing, and then they come flying at you. And when you're going in and out of slow motion all the time, it actually really throws off your timing. Makes it hard to tell when an enemy's going to come blazing towards you. It also makes it a bit easier to miss their audio cues. Yeah, so I like to get rid of all the Gladiuses first, especially as Dante, because while Nero can grab them and throw them at enemies, Dante can't do that. Best to just blow them up. And then we can really have some fun with slow-mo. To activate the slow motion machine, you have to use the style button as Dante. As Nero, it was the buster button. It's a little awkward as Dante. That might be why they... Ow. Ooh! Lucky I didn't get hit by those lasers. That was pure luck there. But yeah, that might be why they didn't have much more Dante slow motion, because you end up using a style action every time you activate it, which can be really awkward, especially when you've got Trickster or something equipped. Yes, you have to do a Trickster dash to actually activate the thing, or a Sword Master ability or whatever. It does make it all a bit clunky. So I'm willing to put up with that for fun slow motion battles. And juggling enemies in slow-mo, it actually feels really weird because their air momentum is just completely strange. But the important thing is that it's fun. So yeah, we use the slow-mo machine to go upstairs. And you can do that at any point in that fight, you don't have to do that fight. And then onto this room, where there's still a hidden red orb cache there. But we can't activate this switch that brought down an elevator as Nero, so we can't actually go any further into this part of the headquarters. This is as far as we can go. But we can get the combat adjudicator, which is a very easy one. It's only a B adjudicator. It's a shame it's in such an out-of-the-way spot. They should really have it like right up front so that you can get some real practice with Dante. But oh well. So once we've got that, we can just hit start, go into systems, and save. You don't even have to run over to the end of the mission. And that's now saved forever. Yes. So there you go. Now before we move on to mission 13, let's go have a quick look at Dante's abilities. Let's have sort of like a Dante move roundup. So let's take a time out to have a look at all the moves we have available as Dante at this point in time. Because fights are very fast and violent, and it's very hard to actually show everything off. So let's have a look. As Rebellion, our sword, we have Rebellion Combo A, Rebellion Combo B, and you can keep mashing the button with that one to keep going. And the higher your combat ranking currently is, the more you can keep going with it. So if you've got an S currently, then that can keep stabbing for quite a while. Got High Time, which just like Nero's High Roller, you can tap it or you can hold the button. We've got Helm Breaker. These are all pretty classic Devil May Cry moves. Especially this one, Stinger. We've got Stinger at level 2, so it travels pretty far. We've got Million Stab. You can mash the button with a Stinger to go into Million Stab, just like in DMC3. We've got Round Trip, which I probably won't be using very much, because I keep forgetting it exists. You hold the attack button to charge it up, and then you can let it go. And you can hit attack earlier to make it come back. Yeah, that's all their Rebellion moves. Then we've got Ebony and Ivory, our guns. That has a charge shot. And it's different to Nero's charge shot. Nero's charge shot charges up into like one big blast. Whereas these ones give you a bunch of different charged bullets. And in Devil May Cry 3, the charge shot was actually part of the gunslinger style. Here it's been decoupled again, you can just use it whenever you want. And the Coyote A, our shotgun. Dante has like at least 3 different shotguns by this point in time. And it has its own charge shot. We've got charge shot level 3, so it gives us a number of different charged blasts before it wears off. That's all our non-style moves. Let's look at our styles. I love those little poses. So Trickster. It's all about dashes and evades. This is Trickster Dash. Sky Star, which is very Mega Man X2-ish. There's a move called Mustang, which you dash onto enemies and it bounces off their head. That one's a weird one. And a move called Flipper, which if you've been hit by an enemy, you can recover by hitting the Trickster button. You've got Air Trick, which lets you teleport to enemies. Trickster is unique because when you're devil triggered, you get extra stuff. Like you get the extra double jump, as I said before, but you get an extra Sky Star, as I showed before, and you get to chain dashes together, which is pretty cool. In number 3, Trickster, once fully leveled up, you could chain 3 dashes together. You can't do that unfortunately in this game, but while you're triggered, you can just keep dashing forever, as long as you're triggered. Swordmaster. So, these give us extra Rebellion moves. We have Prop. And if you hit the button again after that, you're going to Shredder. Which keep going as long as you hold the button. For a little while anyway. We've got Aerial Rave. Nice air combo. We have Drive, which can be charged up a little bit. We have Quick Drive. This one I have trouble activating. You have to hit 2 buttons at the same time. And Overdrive, if you do a normal drive and you hold it, and then you tap the button as you're unleashing it, you'll do 3. That one's really fun. You have to do it from a distance, but if you can nail enemies with it, you can get tons of style. And finally, Dance Macabre, which starts off looking like a normal combo, but keep going, and you got a beautiful baseball swing. Now, so just like Swordmaster, Gunslinger depends what weapon you're currently using. So for Ebony and Ivory, we have Twosome Time, which lets you shoot enemies, several enemies at once. Rainstorm. And Honeycomb Fire. You have to tap the button pretty fast to activate that. For Shotgun, we have Fireworks, which you can do in the air. Got Backslide, to shoot backwards. And Gunstinger. And finally, Royal Guard. Royal Guard's the toughest to use. You can block attacks, which lets you take less damage. You can do air blocks as well. And you can release some of your charged up energy to do some damage. But if you get the timing just right, you'll do a Royal Block, which lets you take no damage and build up more Royal Guard energy. So there's a meter in the top left corner, just under the R for Royal Guard. That's the Royal Guard meter. And if you do a release, right as you get attacked, you do lots of damage. Finally, we have this strange ability. Dreadnought. It moves very slowly and it only lasts as long as you have Royal Guard energy. It's invulnerable. It is quite slow and I'm not really sure what the uses are for it, but it looks cool. You can also do a bit of a glitch to keep holding that form for a while. You're not invincible, but you can keep looking like you are. But you have to have another weapon to do that, so I'll show that off later. And then last but definitely not least, we've got Dante's Devil Trigger. And while he's devil triggered, his stinger turns into something much more devastating. It does a lot of damage, but it does eat your trigger a bit quicker. And that's all of Dante's abilities at this point in time. We get even more later, so stay tuned.